I will never ask for money. I am not into e-begging, but if you want to support me and my content, you can. I have a Patreon, and I also have channel memberships activated. If you want to support my content, click the button and choose the plan that's right for you. Or if you do not like YouTube's ways of doing things, but still wish to support me, click the link in the description for my Patreon. Then pick a tier that is right for you. Everyone who supports my content will get a shout out at the beginning of each video, as well as other perks like early access to content. Now onto the video. In New South Wales, Australia, there's a place with sightings of ghosts and a strange creature known as the Yowie. A member of a popular YouTube channel disappears without a trace. A song that is the subject of an internet mystery. Internet detectives hope to find the names of the musicians and the song. And a video taken deep in the dark recesses of the Paris underground leads to a mystery. What scared an unknown cameraman, and did he make it out alive? Join me for some interesting mysteries. Before we begin with actual mysteries, I wanted to address this one as it was suggested to me. This is an instance of something that isn't a mystery, but the internet had turned it into one. So to give an example of what is not appropriate for this series, I decided to talk about this one first before going into some others. In some ways, videos on YouTube are an art form. Those who make YouTube videos normally spend hours upon hours, days upon days, just to make one video. It is a stressful process that sometimes even the most creative among us sometimes feel like giving up on. Shima Luan first began her YouTube journey in 2015, narrating old books.
At 3 o'clock precisely, I was at Baker Street, but Holmes had not yet returned. The landlady informed me that he had left the house shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning. I sat down beside the fire, however, with the intention of awaiting him, however long he might be. I was already deeply interested in his inquiry, for, though it was surrounded by none of the grim and strange features which were associated with the two crimes which I had already reported, still the nature of the case and the exalted station of his client gave it a character all its own. Indeed, apart from the nature of the investigation which my friend had on hand, there was something in his masterly grasp of a situation and his keen, incisive reasoning, which made it a pleasure to me to study his system of work.
Though she began her account in 2008. This got her some success, but it was her work with Planet Dolan that people remember her by. Shima joined Planet Dolan after redesigning the Dolan logo, which was a contest that she had taken part in. Her big-nosed version of Dolan was the winner, but it wasn't a popular design. Because of her soothing voice and because Dolan wished to have someone to play off of, he invited her to the channel, giving her the pink cat persona. The formula for the videos was that Dolan would exaggerate or make up facts, while Shima would tell the actual facts. Using this newfound attention, she began to post bloopers and other behind-the-scenes videos on her own channel, while working for Dolan's second channel, Super Planet Dolan. She would also do weekly live streams with another member of Planet Dolan, a man named Hellbent.
Alright.
Portal 2.
Portal 2.
Yeah, we already played a little bit of it to make sure it would record, so...
Hi.
Nope, that's not Sprint.
Can someone reassemble Orange?
You're gonna have to check out Shima's channel to watch me fuck that up.
She was also commissioned to work on the Planet Dolan logo that they still use today. On April 22nd, 2016, on her own channel, she would upload her final video. A video entitled 50,000 Subscribers, Unscripted, where she would emotionally thank people for their support.
For this video, I had originally wanted to do something very fantastic with lots of really fancy editing and neat facts and other really kind of cool little things to be going on while you see all this lovely, wonderful fan art that you guys keep submitting, which makes me unbelievably happy, but... But I realized, after a couple of times the program kept crashing on me, that the glitz and the glam that I had planned was not important. Instead, I decided that a real talk, unscripted video would probably be better than something that was very carefully planned out and recorded and edited and cleaned up and, polished. You are amazing. And don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise.
you can make a difference. You have made a difference. Just by watching this video and listening to me make a mess of myself. You have made a difference. I'm sorry there's no glitz. I'm sorry there's no glam. I kind of suck at editing anyway. Maybe the program crashing over and over and over again was a good thing. Because if it had worked the first time, it might not be as meaningful to me, or maybe to you, if this is meaningful to you. I know this means a lot to me. And all I can say is, once we get to 100,000, or not, whichever, I really hope that I get to do another one of these. Where, I don't know, maybe I'll talk about something else, I'm not quite sure. But, thank you so much, all of you, for listening, for being wonderful, for being who you are. So, I guess this is where I sign off. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.
But after this video, she went dark. Not just to her audience, but to the members of Planet Dolan as well. Her last video for Planet Dolan was on September 25th, 2016. On August 11th, 2017, Planet Dolan uploaded a video called The Future of Planet Dolan, where Dolan stated that he didn't know where she was, and hoped she was okay. Due to this, fans of Shima and Planet Dolan began to speculate what caused her to disappear from the internet, with theories such as having a stalker, or being doxxed, or not being comfortable with fan art some had made. Though that last one was easily debunked, as she stated in a Q&A that it didn't bother her.
It doesn't really bother me since I don't go looking for it. I know that for some people this is their way of showing appreciation for the character, and besides, this is the internet.
I am not going to go into the theories for a reason. This isn't a mystery. Firstly, Dolan of Planet Dolan had stated it before. Before the video addressing the future of Planet Dolan, he had stated that he knew Shima was safe, just not talking to any of them.
And look, she has done this before. You know, when we get guest appearances on for SPD, that's because she'd vanished for 3 months at a time without warning. Sometimes her name will pop up on Steam, so we're pretty sure she's still alive, but she can't spend 5 seconds to let us know she's okay, or that, you know, she's not coming back. We assume it's because she has anxiety, and that's why. Just, you know, it just sucks.
Then on December 23rd, 2022, Super Planet Dolan made a video designed to lay to rest the mystery of what happened to Shima Luan. In a style of exaggerating some details, Dolan went into things that he kept secret for 6 years.
So many of the crew is still missing. Hey, Mr. D, why is this one crossed out? Who is Shima?
6 years. Shima disappeared from the internet in 2016, and people have been asking where she went ever since. On YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, everywhere. There have been video conspiracies theorizing what happened to her for years now, and it has gotten out of hand. The mystery has taken on a life of its own, disconnected from what actually happened to her. But today, I will reveal the truth.
For one, Shima had disappeared once before. For some time before, Shima had stopped responding to messages. Dolan, needing to figure out what to do, and was traveling at the time, decided to bring on guests until Shima returned, which she did, sending him a message about what was going on.
At the time, I didn't really want to discuss Shima's email because it was personal, but given it's been over 6 years from her disappearance without a peep, it's time to blow off the dust and declassify her case file for transparency. So here we go. She talks about how she was having a bit of family life trouble that caused her to put a pause on work. She's been hesitant to mention it because she didn't know what is or isn't appropriate to discuss socially in the workplace that might explain her absence. In times of stress, Shima's natural reaction is to fall in on herself and close off from everyone. She says that she really wants to keep working with me and everyone else at Planet Dolan, that nothing this good or amazing has ever happened to her, and she's trying to correct her bad habits to not screw the opportunity over. She says sorry, and she'll do her best to make up for it.
Some family problems had forced her to put a pause on working on things. She had become overwhelmed, and she had shut others out. She had isolated herself from everyone, but returned happy and willing to work, stating that she was trying to better herself and not fall into those habits. But then she disappeared again. But Dolan knew she was okay, because sometimes he would see her sign into Steam and other social media that they share. She would just not talk to anyone. Altogether, Shima had only worked with Planet Dolan for 8 months. but she left a lasting impact on fans that are subscribed to the channel. Recently, the profile picture on her main channel had been changed to a black and white photo of leaves, but I'm not sure what this means, and I highly doubt that she is returning. Normally, I try to keep my opinions on these mysteries out of it, because I want the viewer to come up with their own conclusions. But this one, I have to admit, I can't. I am right now going through family issues and some level of stress. How we all handle it is different, and sometimes it's difficult to put into words. The way I normally handle these things isn't to shut people out, but to lean on those I am comfortable with in helping me through it. But some people close themselves off. What is more likely than the theories that people have brought forth is whatever was happening in her private life became too stressful for her. She decided to walk away because everything was too much for her. But after a while, she didn't come back. While this explanation doesn't satisfy some people, it is the most logical. I was hesitant on putting this on some interesting mysteries, mostly because I feel that someone leaving the internet isn't a mystery. Yes, she was successful, but that doesn't mean she wasn't going through something that was weighing on her heavily. Online, we do not see the full picture of a person's life. We see things through a keyhole, and only what the individual wants you to see. It is okay to love Shima Luan's work and miss her, and I'm sure she knows she is loved. And hopefully wherever she is happy and healthy and living a good life. Underneath the city of Paris lies a whole different world. Miles upon miles of tunnels, filled with the remains of the long deceased. Dark, claustrophobic, and damp. It is easy to get lost, and once you do, the odds of you getting out alive start to get worse. One man, possibly interested in the catacombs, decided to descend into the darkness, only armed with a video camera. He wanders the necropolis, showing the viewer the many rooms where bones lay in piles, following arrows on the walls and on the floor. He is deep within the catacombs. We see that he isn't the first person within this section of the catacombs. But then, something scares him, and he begins running faster and faster until... the camera falls onto the ground, and we hear him running away. The Paris catacombs were once a limestone quarry, providing building materials for the city above. More than 200 miles of tunnels span deep underground, some only 15 feet under the Paris streets, while others go down farther. In the 17th century, the city of Paris had an issue that was twofold. First, the cemeteries were overflowing with the dead, and the tunnels underneath the city caused a danger of sinkholes forming. To combat these issues, the dead were placed within these tunnels, some with bones piled high, some where the bones would just lay scattered. 6 to 7 million of the dead were moved into the catacombs. Over time, the tunnels were forgotten, unmapped, with only a small section open to the public. But this doesn't stop those looking to explore the tunnels, and the catacombs have been a site of some's final resting place, including poor souls who were swept up in the French Revolution, as well as a young woman who was at a party in the catacombs. She wandered off and was found months later, fully intact, preserved by the coldness of the catacombs. If you wander from the known paths, you better have a light on you, because there are no lights in the catacombs. With narrow walls, some filled with water, if you do not have a way to find your way, you will never leave. The footage mentioned in the beginning of this segment was found by a group exploring the catacombs. While some websites say that it was shot in 1993, it isn't known if that is the real date. It was given to a man, a French filmmaker named Francis Friedland. He became interested in solving the mystery of the mysterious urban explorer, to find out who he was, and if he had gotten out of the catacombs. The only source of light the explorer had was his camera. The camera was old, before digital camcorders were invented. It used videotape to record on. Yet in a panic, he drops his only light source and flees into the darkness. But why? Was he chased? Or was he so lost that his mind began playing tricks on him? The video would make its way onto television in the year 2000, on the show The Scariest Places on Earth.
We've all been there. You take the wrong exit off the freeway, go out a different door than the one you came in, and before you know it, you're asking, where am I? Well, one place you definitely don't want to be caught asking that question is in the endless labyrinth of tunnels deep beneath the city of Paris.
which was hosted by Linda Blair, who was best known as Reagan in The Exorcist, and narrated by Zelda Rubinstein, who was best known as Tangina Barons in Poltergeist. Through this show, Friedland was able to put together a crew to search for the truth about this video, going deep into the dark tunnels. In some places, needing to crawl through narrow openings. Using the footage, they were able to go down to 300 feet below the streets of Paris, in parts of the tunnels that were not mapped. They found themselves in the darkest abysses of the tunnels. There they stopped their search, not before finding areas that the man visited on the footage, but no sign of the person.
I think I saw this on the tape. This figure, with the arms outstretched, the legs outstretched. And I think after this, the camera turns right.
Donc là, on va passer sur un passage de plage.
This is really moving. That's a lot of bones. I'm standing on dozens of corpses, just walking on them. You can't see the bottom. I don't even know how deep this is. You could be walking on thousands of corpses here. Look how deep this thing is. It looks like the killing fields.
C'est que Charles-Axel Guillemot voulait pas rechercher, enfin la mission.
According to Les Arts, if you search through these catacombs, you could find the gate to hell. Perhaps this person found it by accident. This is the gate to hell.
There have been some instances of people able to survive the darkness for a little while. 2 brothers did for 2 days. But it is uncommon for the deeper parts of the catacombs for you to come out alive. In 2014, 14 years after the episode of The Scariest Places on Earth, Zach Bagans of Ghost Adventures met with Friedland. Bagans was on his own investigation of the Paris catacombs, though Bagans was merely interested in the ghost stories from the catacombs, which is not the subject of this mystery, so we can brush it aside. I merely mention it because in the 14 years in between his appearances on television, Friedland had not solved the mystery of the catacombs footage, nor will he ever go back down into the catacombs. But there's a glaring question. Could this be a hoax? Could it be that this video was shot to make it look like a man was lost in the catacombs, and in a moment of fear, runs, drops his camera, and is never seen again? We know the video was taken in the catacombs, but a hoax is still possible. Though in the years since the airing of the Scariest Places on Earth episode, no one has come forward to say they were the man in the video, or that it was hoaxed. We never see the man in the video, not even when he's running away after dropping the camera. There is no way of knowing when the video was taken. We cannot accurately search missing persons databases. You would think that if he had gotten out of the catacombs, he would have came forwards when the segment aired on television in the 2000s. You would think that if it was a hoax, someone would try to take credit for it. But there's nothing, only a grainy video. In the dark underground of Paris, with a man running terrified into the darkness. In 2006, a man called into a radio station in Australia, only going by the name Bongo. He was calling from a sanitarium. The story he told the listeners was one of terror. His story began in 1978, when he was a truck driver, heading down one of the lonely roads that weave around New South Wales. He took a wrong turn and ended up in an area known as the Pilliga Forest, also known as the Pilliga Scrub. There, he would have an encounter that he would claim caused his hair to go white, and the reason he had been institutionalized for 20 years. Pilliga Forest is located in New South Wales, Australia, 3,106 miles around. It is an arid yet semi-woodland area. It is located near the towns of Barradine and Narrabri. The local Aboriginal people refused to go there, even before the Europeans came to Australia. It is thought to be haunted by the spirit of an old woman. Ball lightning seems to appear and follow people, and is home to the legendary Yowie. The Yowie is a cryptid, an ape-like creature that stalks the outback. And like other ape-like cryptids, its size and description vary, as well as its temperament. Some say the Yowie is timid and shy. Others say that the Yowie is violent and aggressive. As Bongo went down the road, he had noticed he didn't know where he was. He had become completely lost, and his fuel was running low. He thought he was lucky when he spotted another truck heading towards him. He got out of his own truck and waved down the other driver. The driver stopped, and Bongo told the other driver of his predicament. The driver informed the lost Bongo where he was. Bongo had never been in the area, nor even heard of the area. Bongo asked him where he could get fuel, and the driver told him that he was some distance away from the nearest place. Bongo asked the driver if the driver could get fuel for him. That is when the driver told him something cryptic, that no one travels into Pilliga alone at night. As the two went on their way, Bongo got back in his truck and decided to try to make it through the night, not knowing what was out in the wild, watching him, not knowing why no one came through Pilliga Forest at night. At 4 in the morning, he got his answer. He happened to look out his window and saw it, a face looking back at him. All of a sudden, it pulled the door from its hinges. Bongo was dragged from his truck by this creature that he, in a radio call, could not describe, just calling it horrifying.
What looked through the window at me is why I'm in this state today. He pulled the door off the hinges, and this thing, like, it defies the explanation. What it looked like, it was horrific, and it took me through the bush a fair way.
So it grabbed hold of you,
and we ended up at this. I suppose you'd call it a humpy sort of a thing.
According to Bongo, he was attacked. He described the area he was taken to, and that he was about to be assaulted. But when the creature felt that Bongo wasn't what it was looking for, it dragged him back to the truck and put him inside. In the morning, a motorist passing found him. He was terrified still. It is suggested that what attacked him was a Yowie. And while going over the story on the radio program in 2006, he seemed to be haunted by this experience. In another story that involves the Yowie, in the early 2000s, a truck driver named Bruce Campbell was traveling through the Pilliga Forest. As Campbell was transporting cattle, he noticed they seemed agitated. He pulled over to check on them. As he made his way to the back, he heard something rustling. He turned on his flashlight and went around his truck, where he saw a 10-foot-tall creature covered in hair. At first, he was frozen in fear, but then he rushed to the cab of his truck and left. When he got to safety, he pulled over, checking his truck, and it had some damage. Part of the trailer had been broken, in a spot too high for a normal human to get to. The final story is a ghost story. Truckers have claimed to see a spirit of a woman pulling a trolley full of bags, walking down the side of the road. An old woman, wearing a fishing hat, pulled down to eye level, and a World War I army coat. Her hair is white, and her eyes glow. It is said that when she was alive, she used to get rides from truckers in the area. She had lived deep within the forest, near a creek bed. One day, she was walking along, and a truck was coming down the road. She turned to hitch a ride, but the trucker sadly didn't see her in time. In a different rendition of the story, she walked in front of the truck, staring into the eyes of the driver and cackling as the truck hit her. How she died, or if these are just folklore, is up for debate. But what is known is truckers refuse to stop when in the forest. Locals refuse to go into the forest at night. So if you are brave, and you wish to see if the stories are true, go to the Pilliga Scrub, where you may come face to face with a monster, or the ghost of a woman known as the Pilliga Princess. The song you just heard is a mystery, one that has a devoted following online. The reason, no one knows the name of the song or who performed it. The song has no country of origin, and for all we know, was only played once, back in the 1980s. This song was first uploaded onto the internet in 2007. A user named Blue uploaded it to a site called The Spirit of Radio in hopes to find someone who knew anything about the song. The user claimed that the song was recorded off of a German radio station sometime between the years of 1982 and 1984. The post garnered little attention then, and the search seemed to halt for a time being. That was until July 19th, 2019, when Justin Wang uploaded his first video about it. One of his subscribers brought a Reddit post to his attention. 6 days prior to the song being brought to Justin Wang's attention, a Reddit user posted about the song. The song doesn't show up on anything. The lyrics are hard to understand. So the user wished to see if anyone out there knew the name of the song. The same Redditor known as Gab Gaskins had posted the song on many different Reddit forums in an attempt to get an answer on who played this song. The user, identified as Gabriel Vieira, had been looking for the song since 2006. What people think is the title of the song is Like the Wind, though that might not be the actual title. The song itself was recorded off of a cassette tape that was recorded off of the radio. The song comes from a West Germany recording from the early 1980s. A man only known as Darius S. had recorded it. He was listening to the radio, and what he would do was record songs from the radio to make his own mixtapes. He would then transfer the songs onto a different tape in order to edit out the DJ presenting the song. He would then write down the names of the songs, which in some instances he didn't know the names of the songs, before placing the tapes inside the cases. One of his favorite programs to record music off of was a show called Music for Young People, which was hosted by a German-speaking British man named Paul Baskerville. Fast forward to the 2000s. Darius's sister Lydia finds the tapes and has them digitized. She also had a second copy of the mixtape that the mysterious song was on that Darius had gave her that she also digitized. The first recording that she placed on the internet was Darius's version, which was worn from years of play. Lydia's version was more crisp and clear. Darius felt the name of the song might have been Blind the Wind, which is what he wrote in the note lining, yet it was only a guess. After Justin Wang's video came out, the search for the song became viral, including some contact with Paul Baskerville himself, who helped in the search for the song by playing it on the radio. But Baskerville didn't remember the song. He didn't remember the name of the band or if he had played it. Some suggested that it was by a group called Statues in Motion. Billy Knight, a member of the group, had responded to these claims, stating at first that he didn't know anything about the song, but later he would claim the opposite, claiming that the song was a song that didn't make it to their only album in 1983, which people pointed out that the synthesizer in the mysterious song wasn't available in 1983. It was a 1984 model. Knight has not answered how they were able to recreate the sound of the synthesizer with an older model, leaving his claim to the song on shaky ground. On July 19th, 2020, a user on Reddit called FlexOnMobile posted a set list from the show Music for Young People. The set list was from 1984, and the song was not on there. Every song listed on the list had been found and were well known. Baskerville wasn't the only host for the radio program. It is suggested that one of the other hosts could have played the song, but going through close to 40-year-old set lists is a hard task, and the station, though having access to the records, would have to put in a lot of man-hours to find all the set lists. As of 2023, the song is still unknown, but there is hope that the name of the song and the singer would be found soon. And if it does, I will update you on a future episode of Some Interesting Mysteries. Thank you for joining me. If you have a theory on any of the mysteries discussed in this video, please leave it in the comments section. If you have a suggestion for a mystery I should cover for Some Interesting Mysteries, leave it in a comment or in my Discord, where I have a channel for suggestions that I check daily.